All right, welcome back to Blue by 90. I'm Justin, joined by Tanner today. We've got a special guest, Mike from No Block, No Rock, a Nebraska podcast. We're going to preview the Nebraska game down in Lincoln. The Wolverines are traveling down there on Saturday. But first, a little shout out to Feldman Chevrolet of Highland. Go check them out. I believe they got some great truck deals right now. They had they didn't have the Silverado this week. What they have?
Had a Suburban.
Oh, the Suburban at the tailgate. Yeah, that thing was tricked out. So I mean, they've got a lot of sweet stuff on their lot. Also, they're not just a new car lot. They've got a whole used car lot as well out there, and tons of deals. My guys out there, Jason and Brad and everybody else, will take care of you. Jay, all the guys. So go give them a visit there in Highland, and they'll get you hooked up. Maybe in what Bryce has, maybe in what Bryce Underwood is driving around too. You might have to have that some NIL to get that, but yeah.
Like $3 million a year or something like that.
Yeah, something.
We don't know the numbers. We insinuate.
Well, On3 can just throw out random numbers too. So
$74 million deal with Larry Ellison.
I think that was the funniest part of that recruitment was like every time somebody tweeted out about it, it was the number went up $1 million, right? Like it started at like 6 million, 7, 8, 9. All of a sudden it's at like $20 million in no time. Everyone's like, wait, what?
And he is officially the athletic director at the University of Michigan. So we had to offer him to get him here, but
exactly. He now owns Oracle. He's got a majority share.
He's got $50 million stock options. Just made a Billy off the stock going up last week. It's all gravy for Bryce Underwood at this point.
Exactly. But Mike, thank you for joining. I think we went on your podcast last night, which was super fun. So go follow them. I would say you guys are like a rational podcast. You're not delusional. You do talk about us cheating sometimes, which is annoying. But no, super excited for this weekend. We talked a lot about this last night, that this is a very pivotal game for both teams this weekend in terms of where they could end up by the end of the year, right? I think for Michigan, I guess for both teams, like actually, I saw somebody was talking about it online today, talking about Nebraska. It's like if Nebraska wins this football game, there's a path to 11-1, legit. Which, I mean, that sounds pretty damn good to you guys, I have to imagine.
Well, considering last year was the first time we made a bowl game in 7 years, we called it the measuring stick game, I believe, last night. And I think that's what it is for both teams. Like, we're kind of figuring out, they both have young quarterbacks. Nebraska's coming into it with year 3 Matt Rule. That's what everybody's talking about. Matt Rule did this at Temple, did it at Baylor. In year 3, that's when things boomed. And so Nebraska fans have been patiently waiting for year 3 Matt Rule. Through all the growing pains, we were able to at least go 6-6 plus 1 is what I call it last year. Bowl games are kind of a joke these days, and so I don't really count them. I count we went 6-6 plus 1. I think Michigan, would you guys went 7-5 plus 1? Because that's
yes,
yeah. Because I don't count. I know you guys had a good bowl win as well, but I don't count bowl games anymore. Like everybody opts out. They're not just as
well. Not Alabama. Just everybody but us. Our bowl win counts. The playoff doesn't count. They had too much time off, Mike. I don't know. That's an illegitimate national championship. Go on.
But yeah, no, I think it's a measuring stick game for both programs. Sharon Moore he has to prove that he's the guy at Michigan. He's following in big footsteps behind Jim Harbaugh, that Michigan man, and Matt Rule. He's got a lot to prove, and seeing if this is year 3 Matt Rule. So,
go ahead.
Are you buying into the year 3 stuff? Like it's just gonna. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and obviously it takes time to build a program. A little bit easier to do so nowadays with the addition of the portal. You can get more experienced guys that are more talented and quicker than 15, 20 years ago. You had to wait 3-4 years for your recruits to roll in. Do you buy into that stuff or?
See, so when Matt Rule first got to Nebraska, his thing was, I want to build a developmental program, and so Matt Rule has done a pretty good job of still in doing the developmental program style, but still using the portal as kind of like, let's fill gaps here and here. And so a couple examples of that would be, the receiving core. We needed a big face of last year. We couldn't We couldn't play get off man coverage. We couldn't block worth the shit. So coming from a No Block No Rock podcast, having a wide receivers not have the ability to block was a big problem last year. And so they went out and got Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter, and instantly they look better on offense. And then, of course, adding a offensive mind like Dana Holgorsen, it's really simplified the game kind of for Dylan Raiola. And I think so far it's making year 3 Matt Rule look real, but we haven't played anybody. Like I think Cincinnati might end up being an okay team, but I always say week 1 is kind of like you have to get past week 1. No matter what team you are, it's going to be sloppy football. It's going to be missed tackles. It's going to be turnovers. It's going to be penalties. And if you get past week 1, then you can kind of gauge what your team looks like. And so Nebraska, they got past week 1. They won a close game, which if you know anything about Nebraska football, we have like the most one-score losses in the last 10 years. It's insane. We're cursed. And so the fact that we were able to win a close game, a one-score game, and then go take care of business against 2 inferior opponents. Now, I think now they've got their feet wet enough for a team like Michigan, but I don't know. This game is going to determine if the Matt Rule year 3 thing is real, because I think if they beat Michigan on Saturday, I mean, the hype train's going to be a chugging. And you said that, we're kind of a level-headed podcast, and that's kind of our thing. We always tell our fans, like, go sip the Kool-Aid, we'll be your chaser. We kind of bring them back down to earth. And so that's what I was doing. I did it last night on our show after you guys got off. Jared was, and he's not the one that usually would chug Kool-Aid, but he's like, dude, I have a really good feeling about the game. And he's like, I think we're going to be happy leaving the stadium. And I was like, all right, let me bring you back down to earth. Nebraska's lost 27 in a row against ranked teams. We've got a lot of demons we've got to check off the list. And I think it would start on Saturday. If we can break that streak of 27 losses to ranked teams, I think that's the next monkey you have to get off your back. For sure. Well, I mean, to be honest, like you guys are where we were back to, 20 whatever with Brady Hoke and all that. But even with Jim Harbaugh, right? Up until, 2016, 2017, 2018, like even in those years, it was like we'd beat the teams that we were supposed to beat, and we'd never beat a team that we were not supposed to beat. Right. Mm-hmm. And I feel like you guys are kind of right there right now of like, okay, to get over that hump, you have to just come out and squeak one out however you can. It does not matter, but you've got to beat a team that you're not supposed to beat. And that's when you legitimize yourself. And so for Matt Rule, I think that's exactly where he's at right now. And so I also, it's funny too, because I think I actually heard on our local radio with John Jansen today, they were talking about Michigan State and, some of the Sparties, even though they're 3-0, they haven't looked great being 3-0, and everyone's all pissed off because it's year 2 and they should be better. I think Kurt Cignetti is at Indiana, like screwed everybody's, reality of like what a year 2, year 3 should look like. Like it all lined up perfectly for them to be able to go to that college football playoff with, he brought a ton of really good guys with them. They also had an incredibly favorable schedule. And I think that people don't understand how hard this shit is. It's so freaking hard to do. Even with the portal these days, it is still incredibly hard to put all of it together. And again, it's week 4. Like we're going into week 4, right? And so, I think it's probably just too early to go one way or the other of like, get on the hype train or not, or be, all right, totally like done with it. So, it's just funny how like it all, all the overreactions of all of it. 100%. Well, and yeah, the hype train, like I said, it's going to be rolling if Nebraska can win a game. And I don't even know I think right now the spread's at like 1.5 now. It opened at like 3.5 for Michigan. Now it's down to 1.5. And so I don't know what it's going to be at kickoff. Like to me, it almost feels like a coin flip because I feel like these programs are kind of in the same spot right now. Like I know Michigan came off a national championship 2 years ago, but college football, it's crazy because you could have so much success and then 2 years later your coach can get fired. So it's just crazy that you have to do it over and over again. And the Big Ten is the best conference in college football. Sorry, SEC homers. Like that is what it is. Like the Big Ten has proved it the last 2 seasons. They've won back-to-back natties in this college football playoff era with NIL and all that stuff that is now legal. So, yeah, I mean, it's tough. And Kirk Cignetti, I mean, give him his flowers. I mean, the dude said, I win, Google me. And then he did exactly that. So, it is what it is. But I think it is a tough bar to chase the Cignetti effect because he smokes his big cig and nobody else can do that.
Yeah.
He's a different cat, man. Going into Saturday, Mike, we talked about this on your show last night, but like, where are you concerned going into this matchup?
I mean, that's easy. So I just wrote an article actually today about it. So Bryce Underwood, the ability to run the football, like I think that is something that gives not only Nebraska, but just defenses in general fits is a quarterback that can get on the run, get out of the pocket and make plays. I think that worries me a lot. And of course, just the traditional run game, that was something that Cincinnati had a lot of success with. They were averaging over 7 yards a carry. That's without the quarterback run. I think they ended up going almost closer to 8 or 9 yards a carry against Nebraska in week 1 with all the Brendan Sorsby runs. And he ran for almost 100 yards and 2 touchdowns. So my thing would be if Michigan wants to win this game, it's going to be dictated by them controlling the line of scrimmage and running the football. If they're able to do that, they're going to have no problem beating Nebraska. But if Nebraska can show up and stop the run, I think, and force Bryce to make plays with his arm, I think that's where Michigan might have to worry. Because I don't know if you've seen the numbers, but if you look at Bryce Underwood's numbers when he's blitzed, and especially against Oklahoma, I think he missed 9 passes in a row when he was blitzed. Like, if you get pressure on Bryce and you can contain him, then it's a bad recipe for Bryce Underwood right now. I just think he doesn't know how to read a defense quite yet. And I think a lot of that pre-snap stuff it's a little still foreign to him. So if you can get pressure on Bryce, I think that's where Nebraska can have success. But if they're able to run the football against this Blackshirt defense, it's going to be a long day for Nebraska.
Yeah, I mean, I think that here's where Michigan got into trouble against Oklahoma was everybody in the world, like once it became clear that Michigan was going to play pretty conservatively, then everybody knew we were going to run the ball. And this is not the same O-line as 2 years ago where you could know that we're running the ball and we're still going to run it down your throat and you can't stop us, right? It's not that same offensive line. Justice Haynes could be just as good as Blake Corum, right, in terms of talent. I'm not going to say Blake Corum's a god to all of us. So, I'm not going to say like we don't have right now, what we're lacking is the Blake Corum guy who will just fall forward for 4 yards no matter what happens, right? And so right now, I think that to your point, like if Nebraska can come out and put pressure on Bryce, make him feel uneasy, we know that that's going to be an insane crowd, probably even worse than a night game in Norman, Oklahoma. And so that is something that, okay, I'm looking at, like, to your point on our side, what my concern is like, okay, how do you unleash Bryce, which that's all that they've been talking about is let him air it out, let him run it out. How do you do that with having him control what he can control and not make mistakes and throw interceptions, right? Like, that's what I worry about is like, yeah, we all want him to be Johnny Manziel and go nuts until he throws it into double coverage and you're like, hey, you idiot, what are you doing? And you're like, well, that's kind of what you asked for,
Yeah. I just think if Nebraska can get pressure, that's where the keys are going to be to affect Bryce. Like his numbers night and day, and it's most quarterbacks, but especially like a true freshman quarterback, night and day different when he's under pressure. I mean, when he has a clean pocket, the dude's like over 80 PFF rating, like at everything, at all levels, throwing short passes, long passes, deep passes. But when he's pressured, I mean, we're in the 50s. Like it's not good. It's such a large drop off. And that's where I think when I dropped that thing, the graphic with his PFF rating, all that stuff, that factors in his running ability. That factors in how good he is as a runner. But I think right now, he has got all the arm talent in the world, but he still needs to figure out how to actually run a college offense and read a college defense. And so with John Butler being our defensive coordinator coming from the NFL, he's had a scheme against Lamar Jackson multiple times. You have to think about confusing him pre-snap, like getting him uncomfortable, confusing him pre-snap, thinking the blitz is coming in one way and it comes another way. And I think Oklahoma did that quite a bit with him. He just looked rattled out because he thought it was coming from one way. And that goes back to the progression thing with Bryce is if he can see where it's coming from, I think it's going to be a huge step for him. But that's where I hope Nebraska, if they can get pressure on Bryce and get creative on the way they blitz and the way they stunt, it could cause problems. But I think Michigan's going to shorten the game. I think they're going to try to pound the football and test out that rush defense. Our defensive line is not the same as it was last year. We had 2 super seniors that are now in the NFL, in Ty Robinson and Nash Hutmaker, and those guys aren't here. So we got a lot of young, unproven guys, and Cincinnati was able to push them around. So I don't think it's a news flash. I think Michigan's offensive line is probably better than Cincinnati's offensive line. So we'll see. Like I said, week 1's kind of a weird thing, but yeah, that's what has to happen for Michigan to roll against Nebraska. They got to run the ball.
We've experienced having an NFL coordinator, or an NFL guy come be the defensive coordinator. There were some hiccups, with Mike McDonald coming from the Ravens. Over tempo got him a lot.
Yep.
Like he did not know how to deal with tempo his 1 year at Michigan. And then they bring in Jesse Minter, and that kind of cleans that stuff up. But then you go with Wink Martindale, and there were some things last year that we saw that I don't know if he understood he was coaching college, because it's tough to know because those last 2 games were against, MAC opponent, FCS opponent. But have you noticed anything with the new DC that you're like, man, I don't know if you can ask a college kid to do something like that?
So not really, but like I said, it's kind of fool's gold. Nebraska, they squeaked out by Cincinnati, and they got 2 cupcakes to play back to back. And if you look right now, Nebraska is number 1 in the country in passing yards allowed. Like our secondary, Sierra Wright, nobody's throwing at him. So that'll be interesting to see if Bryce takes a chance throwing at number 1's way. But between that, they're number 6 in third down. They're number 6 in total defense. They're number 8 in points allowed per game. So I would say right now it's been a really smooth transition. But Matt Rule did go hire his best friend and his previous defensive coordinator at his other stops. And then he also brought in another defensive coordinator that is now coaching DBs, and Coach Addison. So we've got 3 defensive coordinators, not to mention Matt Rule has been a coordinator himself. So we've got a lot of cooks in the kitchen. And so I don't know if there is going to be like a growing pain for John Butler, because he's got so many guys that have been at the college level for such a long time, helping them scheme and make plans. So I'd say yes and no, but we don't really have a sample size right now with him being the full-time DC.
Real quick, dumb question. How do you feel about is it Sierra? Is that how you say Sierra, right? Is that how you say it? He's a movie star.
Yeah.
Space Jam 2. Have you guys watched it? Are you guys, you guys bumping up his numbers, letting him get some checks on that? That's like an NIL? Or no?
No, I think he probably cashed all that stuff in at USC. So
yeah,
I think he went to USC first, and he really took off though. And going back to Matt Rule being a developmental program and hiring a guy like John Butler, like Sierra Wright really took off once he got to Nebraska. So I don't know. I know he's still taking acting classes at Nebraska, but I don't think he's really worried about his acting career right now. I think he's trying to focus on, maybe making it to the NFL.
Well, that's a guy that Michigan wanted.
Yeah.
And, don't have the, the connections and the acting school that USC has to offer. I don't know. I don't know if they're shooting any movies in Lincoln, but who knows?
You never know. I know he wants to get into directing. He said in a press conference before, but yeah, I think his acting career right now is on hold, and he's more worried about putting together a really good secondary at Nebraska.
You want to know something? Going back to Bryce, because obviously we can't stop talking about Bryce Underwood. No, I saw something from a Nebraska page. I'm going to be honest, I don't know who it was, so don't quote me on it. But basically, it was breaking down, Bryce Underwood rushing for over 100 yards last week, right? And I think the gist of the tweet was that 7 of the 9 runs were not, pre-planned runs. It was scrambles, and that was like the majority of his yards. And the tweet was, it was like trying to say like, oh, he can't really run on planned runs. And I'm like, actually, that's what would scare me more is the ability to scramble than a planned run.
So that tweet is actually from the press conference today. Okay. John Butler, they talked about Bryce Underwood's ability to run, and he said, what's crazy and what worries you is that 7 out of the 9 weren't just like designed quarterback runs. So he's making out of chicken shit, and that is more pressure on your defense because you have everybody covered except for the guy that has the football in his hands. And so I totally agree. Like, Nebraska fans need to be worried about Bryce, his ability to run, and they got to spy him all game.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's something that, again, we've talked about that. Like, JJ was able to do that, but that was never his first go-to, right? Really ever. And we tried to avoid, I think, doing that, especially because he was banged up a lot, later in his career at Michigan. And right now, exactly. Well, unfortunately, speaking of not so great O-lines, the Vikings offensive line, not so great.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think it's like that right now seems to be the difference for Michigan is like, okay, you don't have unbelievable weapons at wide receiver, right? You've got good but not great weapons. You have Marlon Klein, you have Donovan McCulley, Samaj has played really well. But you don't have, it's not like you have Oregon and Ohio State wide receivers.
No, like Jeremiah Smith isn't on Michigan, I don't think.
Unfortunately, no. Yeah. But Bryce's ability to extend a play or go get a first down with, even if those guys are covered, that does change the game. And then also what that does is it opens up the actual run game for Justice Haynes and Jordan Marshall too. All right, enough about Bryce. We have not really talked about Dylan and Raiola at all here yet. And so I think that this is something we kind of half joked about last night of just like, he's not on the national radar right now at all for, the stats that he's put up. Again, we know that it's not against good competition, but man, you've got a 5-star quarterback that's, almost thrown for 1,000 yards already, essentially. And like, nobody's talking about it. So give us, the scoop on Raiola right now. It's year 2. It was up and down last year, I think. But what do you expect to see out of him on Saturday?
So I put this in my article this week, or today. I said, Dylan is the one sure thing that he gives me the most confidence going into Saturday. Like, he is light years ahead of any quarterback I've ever seen play the position, especially at Nebraska. I know we are historically a option team. We ran the football a lot. So it wasn't like we've had a lot of pro-style quarterbacks. But just what he does at such a high level. I mean, you guys will appreciate this. His godfather is Matt Stafford. I mean, come on now. So,
That's
he grew up in NFL locker rooms. He's got all the mentors in the world, including that guy that everybody talks about, Patrick Mahomes. He trains with the same trainers. And, it is starting to show. I know people, they think it's a gimmick and all that stuff, but Dylan he tries to be himself. It is crazy as that sounds. Like, he's very good at being himself, and himself is good at quarterback. So, like, that's the one thing I'm confident in. Dana Holgerson's offense has simplified things. And just, it's simple, short passes, and people get all gung-ho about not throwing the deep ball. But, like, the high percentage throws that he's making, and it's the missed tackles and everything else. Like, Nebraska's still top in the conference in 10+ pass attempts. So, like, they're making plays after catching the football. And I think Dylan's playing at such a high level that's one guy you worry about. He was rated as the 40th best quarterback in college football coming into this season.
That's crazy.
I mean, they had Mark Gronowski ahead of him. I think they had Bryce Underwood ahead of him. Like, they had all these guys who never even played a snap at their schools ahead of Dylan Raiola, who finished the year pretty strong, has all the tools to be an NFL quarterback. I mean, he is all the arm talent in the world, can make all the throws. So, yeah, I think he knows that there hasn't been national respect, and I think that's the kind of chip on the shoulder that he has going into Saturday, because he isn't getting any recognition. So, I mean, you complete 76% of your passes and you're getting zero publicity, which is fine. Like, I like being under the radar. That's kind of the way I think Nebraska should feel right now. I
love living under the radar.
Well, so I'm curious what your thoughts are on the Cincinnati game, because that's like the one data point that we really have to go off of, because the last 2 games, he's over 10 yards in attempt. He's almost 12 yards in attempt against Akron. He was at 5.8 average. He was 33 of 42, so he's 79%, but for 243 yards. I mean, what kind of, I watched that game, but I didn't follow up on it like the way I watch Michigan games. I'm sure you've watched the replay and the highlights. 100%. Like, what was that just what Cincinnati was trying to do, is just let Nebraska dink and dunk, take away the back half of the field, or like what kind of led to that
yeah. I think I don't think Cincinnati their DBs could cover, and so they played just off. They played 10 yards off. Our receivers could do anything they wanted inside of 10 yards, and so Dana Holgerson's like, and he challenged Dillon to not make the throw. Don't make the mistake. Just take what they give you, and that's another part of Dillon's game that I think has progressed from year 1 to year 2 is not forcing the ball down the field, forcing it into a tight window. Like he is just taking what the defense gives him, and that is something that I watched the Michigan-Oklahoma game, and when Michigan played a lot of zone, Mateer was able to kind of fit balls into spaces. And if you play zone against Dillon, he's going to pick you apart. But if you play man, that's where he struggled last year. You play man, and if you play A-gap blitzes right up the middle, that's where he struggled a lot. So I'm interested to see how creative Michigan can get with blitzing Dillon because nobody's got pressure on him yet this year. He's only been sacked 1 time, and so he really hasn't been touched. And that's the one thing that bothered him last year was that A-gap blitz right up the middle, man coverage. But I just think with the receivers we have this year, they should be able to get off man coverage a little bit easier, especially Ja'Cory Barney, year 2 Ja'Cory Barney. He's playing at a high level. Dane Key from Kentucky, that dude is a straight baller. And then Isaiah Hunter, I mean, he's kind of our go ball guy. So, yeah, I don't know. As far as Cincinnati goes, it really just comes down to they just took what the defense gave him, and he was able to just dink and dunk his way all the way up the field. So,
I mean, 33 of 42, throwing 42 passes is pretty crazy in a college football game. And also, it wasn't like a 55-54 game. It was 20-17.
No, like so, the short passes were like our running game, even though Emmett still had a really good day. So, like Emmett Johnson's a guy that you guys might have to worry about. I don't know how the run defense has looked so far for Michigan, but Emmett Johnson's playing at a really high level. He's kind of a do-it-all. He'll catch it to the backfield a lot, and he's getting yards after contact, which is something he did not do last year.
I think, Justin, you probably agree with this. I think Michigan, so far this season, the only time it really struggled against the run was when the quarterback's legs were a threat. Mm-hmm. That doesn't seem like that's what Dillon wants to do. That doesn't seem like that's in the offense. Like he may take off on a 3rd and 6 if it's wide open, but otherwise he's probably going to stay in the pocket, and there's not going to be maybe any designed runs called for him.
No, there might be I wouldn't be shocked if there was some sort of zone read. They try to do that at least once or twice a game. It's just keep the defense honest and make sure that that DN at least has to play the quarterback once. But Dillon mainly gets his yards if he is running the ball. It's usually when you're playing man coverage and you've had good coverage on the back end and nobody's containing the quarterback. That's what he had against Ohio State last year, and he had like a 50-yard run. But he's not a dual threat guy. He's not even Patrick Mahomes. Like, I know all the comparisons. Patrick Mahomes has really improved his endurance in the way that he runs the football. Dillon is not there yet with his game. He's worked on his body. He's lost a little bit of weight. He lost that baby fat, but he's not going to run like they did with Mateer at Oklahoma.
Well, first of all, you should have beat Ohio State last year. I just want to say that.
We watched that at the tailgate.
We watched it at the tailgate. We're so mad at you guys. I'm sorry.
Well, when you're able to pull our receivers on 3rd down when we're driving to go take the lead, and it's not called, and you can just blatantly see the whole jersey pulled while the ball's in the air.
I mean, we all know Ohio State cheats. They cheat a lot, and
Michigan, because you guys
they lie about teams cheating. That's a form of cheating in and of itself. I think there was a 4th and goal that maybe got stuffed on that maybe had something to do with that loss. I don't know. I don't want to bring up bad memories because we were rooting for you.
Oh yeah, when we got stopped at the 1-yard line like 4 times in a row.
That was really tough
too. But I'm just saying we had chances in that game, and that game kind of sucked because Nebraska, they go in and they're happy that they had a close loss to Ohio State, and then UCLA runs into town, and we're chasing 13-6 at halftime, and their heads are down, and they play like ass. They get their ass kicked by UCLA, who their coach just got fired. Right. So like that team just had a lot of mental things, and I feel like the mental confidence of this team so far, although they haven't been challenged to this point, except Cincinnati, I feel like it's a little bit better.
Well, and I think to that point, but also to the point on Raiola and your rushing attack and that type of stuff. The pressure coming from the edge. We actually struggled a little bit with that against Oklahoma, and even in game 1, we weren't really getting to the quarterback like we had been in the past. Then all of a sudden, Jayshon Barham in week 3 gets, put at edge instead, and he is all over the place, and it changes our defense. Cole Sullivan, number 23 linebacker, seems to be, taking off right now. And so I think that's what we're looking for is let's get Jayshawn Barham flying off the edge with his ears pinned back and see what he can do against Raiola. And hopefully that contains that run too, because I think, to answer your question on the run defense, let's just be honest, we don't have Mason Graham and Kenneth Grant anymore. And I don't know that we ever will have the two of the guys at that caliber at the same time in the middle of the defense. But I still think that we've got some pretty good dudes in there with Rayshawn Benny and Trey Williams and some of those guys. Edo has been pretty damn good already too. So yeah, I mean, Tanner, anything to add on Barham and just like how, I mean, again, I know it's Central Michigan and we're all going off of games that are, lesser inferior opponents.
Yes.
But I mean, he looked like he went crazy last week. Let's be honest.
Yeah, he's a guy that, had an NFL decision to make last year to come back and play, a true linebacker spot or to play an edge. And I think they've kind of settled on moving him around like a chess piece, right? Kind of like just a hybrid guy that's either going to line up off ball or, he's going to be, maybe not a hand in the dirt kind of guy, but he's going to be on the edge. He's going to be looking to pin his ears back and get after the quarterback. Mike, you've already mentioned obviously Raiola. That's the one guy that most Michigan fans are going to know of. You mentioned Sierra Wright, like defensively or offensively, like who should Michigan fans be aware of on this team? I know you mentioned Dane Key. I think Emmett's a really solid running back. I think he had a little bit of fumble issues last year, but I thought I liked what I saw from him against Cincinnati. So who can Michigan fans kind of look for on Saturday?
So defensive side of the ball, I like a transfer here, Desan McCullough. I think he's kind of like the guy you were just talking about. Like they're going to move him all around. On the edge and the middle, he's gonna spy your quarterback. He can play safety. He can play everywhere. So he's kind of like that chess piece that they'll move him around, and I think he'll be kind of the guy that's gonna cause havoc pre-snap for Bryce. But I'd say Desan McCullough and Vincent Shavers, number 9. If he plays more, and I don't know if he had a hamstring injury coming into the season. I don't know if he was on a pitch count or what. But he's the one that made that impact play at the end of the half against Cincinnati, knocked the ball out. Nebraska ends up having a 2-score swing in that game. He just makes plays. He is like, he has a nose for the football. He's really good. So I'll be interested to see how much number 9 Vincent Shavers plays. As far as offensive side of the ball, one thing to look out for, you talk about the edge rushing, right? Nebraska really hasn't been challenged on the outside yet as far as a pass rusher goes. I want to watch both tackle positions. Teddy Prohaska, which you might be familiar with, Tanner. And
Elkhorn South kid, right?
Yeah, Elkhorn South kid. And then you talk about Gunnar Gatula, who is a true sophomore playing left tackle. And we had kind of a battle at the left tackle position going to the offseason. We went and signed Elijah Pritchett out of Alabama, and we slated him to be the guy at left tackle. Well, Elijah Pritchett jumps off sides at the 1-yard line against Cincinnati. They get a false start. Nebraska ends up only getting 3 points at that drive. And he's been in the doghouse the rest of the time. So I don't know if Gunnar is the most talented guy at left tackle. He's been playing very well. He's the starter now. And I'm interested to see if he does struggle, because last year he struggled a little bit and they brought in Micah Mazuka to replace him, who was a guard. They'd bring in our backup guard to play tackle, who's never played tackle before, in like passing situations because Gunnar was struggling. So I don't know how long of a leash Gunnar Gatula will have. And I'm interested to see Teddy Prohaska playing against a real opponent, because he's been playing really well at right tackle, and Teddy's had all the talent in the world, but he's been just plagued by injuries. The guy's had like 3 ACLs, and finally he's 100% healthy. He's got his football feet back underneath him, and he's playing lights out right now at right tackle. But I want to see how it looks against a Big Ten team.
Justin, I don't know if you know this, but Teddy is 6'10".
Actually,
he's big.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I went to Elkhorn High, and Elkhorn South is their big rival. So, it's always cool to see the local kids from, West Omaha go on to play Division I football. And so always was, rooting for him and to see him, he's played well. He's played good football, but, to Mike's point, he's just been riddled with injuries. So this will be a big test. I mean, we talk about Jayshawn. TJ Guy didn't play. He was a healthy scratch. I don't know if he's in the doghouse or what.
Yeah, that was weird.
And then Derek Moore, he's played a ton of football, since his freshman year at Michigan. So, he's a guy that, he's kind of your senior that you know what you're going to get from him. But I think the X factor for the defense really is Jayshawn Barham, because he's a guy that could completely wreck the game for Michigan. And I don't know if they have anybody else that I would say can do that. Right. I don't think you don't certainly have an Aiden Hutchinson. You don't have a Mason Graham or a Kenneth Grant. But I think Jayshawn is the guy that can really, impact and kind of leave his fingerprints on this game, and get to Raiola. Because, to your point about Bryce, I think any quarterback, especially college, man, if you get pressured, most quarterbacks, even in the NFL, like, it's just a different ball game to try to stand in there and complete passes and, read the defense while a guy's, screaming at you. Like, it's a lot tougher, obviously. So that's my big X factor is Barham.
Yeah. One guy I do want to ask you guys about, just speaking of local guys, you guys obviously team captain for Michigan now, Ernest Hausmann.
Yeah.
Lincoln guy, went to Nebraska after Scott Fuck got fired. He transferred to Michigan, obviously won a natty with you guys, and now is team captain. What are your thoughts on Ernest Hausmann? I actually know his sister. And so the Hausmann family, they're very nice people, and they're Husker fans, but they wear blue on Saturdays for Ernest. And obviously they had that cool documentary about him on game day or whatever. How's Ernest Hausmann been playing? It looks like he's been balling out.
Dog, absolute dog. He is, he's the leader of that defense. Honestly, he's the guy that makes it go, that's a linebacker's job, obviously, right? But no, I think when he came here, he was still a little undersized, and we had really good linebackers in Junior Colson and some of those guys, Mike Barrett when he got here. But now, like, he's a big boy, and he flies to the football. Flies. He is in on every play, and it is like it's a nose to the football type situation where you'd be hard pressed to find a play in there if you're really watching him where he is not somewhere near the play by the time the play is done. Yeah,
I think Ernest has been pretty solid. I think he's had some coverage issues. I think he'd be like a really good 2003 Big Ten linebacker where he can just get downhill and fly to the ball. Yeah. But I think when offenses are able to kind of isolate him in coverage, because that's not his game.
No,
when he's able to get downhill, make plays towards the line of scrimmage, that's where he's at his best. But honestly, like, they've been rotating guys. I mean, Jimmy Rolder is a fourth-year guy. He's had some injuries himself, and he's been playing really good this year. Cole Sullivan is a redshirt freshman, kind of he was a 3-star, but like everybody around the program was like, this kid's going to be a dog, and he's just been phenomenal. And then Todd Bowles' son, Troy Bowles, transferring from Georgia, he's been playing. He's a little undersized, but man, they like to bring him on some stunts and some blitzes. And so I think, saying all that, I think it allows Ernest to be a little bit more comfortable and do what he's good at, where he doesn't need to necessarily be in coverage so much. He can play a little bit more aggressively towards the line of scrimmage. So I think Ernest has been, I mean, he was a big part of the 2023 team, honestly. Like, he was in a lot. And, he's been the leader of the defense for a number of years, and his story is awesome. I watched that, and that was pretty cool to see. And so, he's definitely a guy we all root for. Seems like a great young man. And, it's a cool little connection because, I used to live in Omaha. So, not far from Columbus. So it's always cool to see those guys, make their way to Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Last thing here that I want to ask you is the Memorial Stadium experience. Obviously, it is, it's known as one of the best in the Big Ten, if not the country. And Michigan went there in 2023. I would say, Tanner, from what I know from your perspective, it was loud for maybe, half a quarter, and then Michigan took the wind out of them, which, again, I don't blame anybody on Nebraska for that. It was just the situation at hand. That was an uphill battle. But for this one, I will say, in 2021, every single player that I know, and I knew him well at that time for sure, said Nebraska at night was the most insane thing ever. And they had all played at Ohio State, at Penn State, at a lot of these different places. So 3:30 game on Saturday. Give me what you think it's going to be like. I know I've seen, Raiola came out himself talking about how it needs to be better than the Colorado game and everything like that.
Yeah, I think it starts there. You know, you have your QB1, the face of your program, challenging the fan base to one up themselves. When I was at Colorado, I mean, I'm at every game, but Colorado was the best environment I've been part of since Miami in 2014. It was,
wow.
I mean, it was no sit Saturday, screaming first down through fourth down. I mean, it was electric, and it helped that Nebraska came off. You know, they were up 28-0 at one point, and they kicked the shit out of them. And we don't like Colorado. We don't like Coach Prime. We didn't like them talking shit about our team. And I think Saturday is going to be very similar. They're going to have Bud Crawford walking him out of the tunnel. He's coming off being the best pound for pound boxer of all time. He just came off that win against Canelo over the weekend. Not sure if you guys are aware, but
I'm aware.
I mean, it is going to be insane. I've told our listeners, I'm like, rest your voices from now until Saturday. Like,
I love this.
I want them to be in tip-top shape. Like, I'm talking salt water, gargle the salt water, do whatever you have to do to make sure those pipes are ready for Saturday. But yeah, you're right. Like, if things get ugly early, I've seen the stadium get kind of quiet. And I don't know, the measuring stick game like this is, I think the fan base is fully engaged. They're ready for Matt Rule year 3, and it's going to be hostile. If you thought Gaylord Stadium was loud, I've been there, and it's pretty loud. But I've been to a lot of stadiums. At Memorial Stadium can get to, like, you know, there's loud and there's like this extra sound on top of loud. That's where Memorial Stadium will get, and we've got zero respect in the video game. We've got zero respect because teams come in here and kick our teeth in the last 10 years. So fans are hungry. They want to see Nebraska end the streak of 27 losses against ranked opponents. So it's going to be loud. It's going to be hostile. I can't wait. Yeah.
Well, I'll say this. I was there in 21, wearing maize, sticking out like a sore thumb. And that first half was pretty comfortable. You know, Michigan's up 13-0. That third quarter, a lot of things go against Michigan. McNamara threw his first pick of the season. Remember, Justin, he didn't have any picks. Yep. Threw a pick. They're down 22-19 at the end of the third. And then they do that
light show.
And I thought there was gonna be a fight at midfield. Like both teams were fired up. And it was, my Apple Watch was like, do we need to call paramedics? Are you okay? My heart rate's like 200 beats per minute. So 2021 is the best college football environment I've ever been a part of, in terms of just like the noise, and, you know, the sound pop. I guess 23 Michigan Ohio State was pretty fantastic too, but we just don't keep the noise in Nebraska Stadium. It's not as big as some of the you know, like Penn State or Tennessee or Michigan, but the way that it's built up, it's similar to Penn State where the noise just has nowhere to go, and it's just on top of the field. That place is crazy. Like, the noise pops from Lincoln like are insane, and I've been to 2 Michigan games. And I've been to a handful of other games just throughout the years, just going to see. I mean, you know, some of the guys I played with in high school played at Nebraska. Want to go see my guy Chris Webber, Graham Nabity, some walk-ons.
He came on our show. I love Chris. He's a good dude.
Yeah, I remember that. You know, it's funny. 2021, walking in the stadium, who do I see but Chris Webber? Not Michigan Chris Webber, of course. This is Chris Webber with 1B. But he played linebacker under Mike Riley in the mid 2010s. He's a really solid player. He's a doctor now, so he's just an incredibly smart guy. Anyways. It's an awesome environment. If there are any Michigan fans going, man, hit me up. Like, I lived in Omaha for 10 years. I lived in Lincoln for a year. I know it very well. There's a lot of good spots. I'm blanking on the name, Mike. What's like the courtyard? Yes.
Yeah.
Bro, the birria tacos at the bar down there are phenomenal. It is quite a time tailgating, just, you know, being down there. Justin, in this spot, they just have like picnic tables. I just remember seeing quite a few gals with Carson Barnhart jerseys just getting after it.
Carson Barnhart jersey.
Just like, I'm pretty sure it was just his family, and they were just on top of the tables dancing.
Shout out Jenny Barnhart, his mom. She's a queen.
Yeah, I just anytime you see like not a quarterback or running back jersey, you're like, that's their family. Yeah, and they were getting after it. So it's a great time. I would implore any Michigan fan, if you ever get a chance to go to Lincoln, Nebraska, do it.
No,
it's an awesome time.
I'm excited to see our guys. So I think like going back to 2021, that was like one of the moments that we knew, you know, we did it at Wisconsin where our team jumped around with them and like kind of did the take over your trap type of thing. We did it during Thunderstruck for Nebraska too. And that all of a sudden became like the Michigan 2021 team's identity of like, hey man, we're not scared of anything. And so I'm actually very curious to see how our team, responds to that in 2025, because, I know they did jump around at the end of the third quarter in Oklahoma. It didn't work because in the fourth quarter, nothing really happened. So I'm curious as to how our guys respond because they aren't really, I don't know that they're sure of themselves yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm excited for the environment. I mean, I'm just excited, CBS 3:30, baby. This is like,
it's our song now.
Yeah. It feels like an SEC showdown. I love it, man. It's going to be a hell of a game on Saturday.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys gave your predictions.
Let's hear it
on our show, but I'll give you mine just because I don't think you guys heard it. I have Michigan winning 34-24, but I'll tell you right now, it would not shock me at all if Nebraska wins this game, just given the environment, a inexperienced quarterback in Bryce Underwood, and having an X factor like Raiola. I'm just telling you that now. It would not shock me at all. I hope I'm wrong with my prediction of 34-24 Michigan, but like I said, I'll be there screaming my head off. They won't lose because of me. I'll tell you that right now. It ain't going to be because of me.
If there's the Bill Belichick do your job, you're going to do your job.
100%. And that's what we have to do. Like, what else do we do? So Nebraska, we have no pro teams. We don't have the Lions. We don't have the Red Wing. We don't have any of that stuff. All we have is Nebraska athletics. We have football. we talked about a really bad basketball team, which I love, and I have season tickets for that too. And then we've got volleyball, and then we're a volleyball state through and through. People think that's a jab, but it's not at all.
Volleyball is awesome to watch.
Volleyball is kick ass as shit. And but this is it. It's the only show in town. So if Nebraska football gets good again, I think it's not only good for Nebraska, but it's good for college football.
There you go. I love it.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, we did talk about that on the pod on Sunday that, this is what you guys have. And this is not a shot at you guys. It's just like, this is it. Because, we've got like, if Michigan loses, I can watch the Lions on Sunday. I care a lot more about Michigan. Don't get me wrong on that. But there's at least like something else to watch, or like the Tigers are about to clinch the playoffs, or like things like that. Right. So if this is your guys. Every Saturday is the Super Bowl for sure.
You know what? And I'm sick of the, this is more pro sports, but like, oh, in Miami, there's just so much to do, or LA, there's so much to do. Screw you. Sit on your couch, watch football for 12 hours.
Right.
Be a person.
Awesome. Yeah.
Be a normal human being for once.
Yeah. That's all we do.
Don't go surfing.
It's America.
What do you like? What do you do in Omaha? You wait for the College World Series to come around. You wait for it to stop being 90 degrees. I heard it was 90 out there today.
Yeah, it's warm today.
Yeah, 2 years ago, that game was hot as shit for no reason.
Yep.
Like we were doing the tailgate. Thankfully, I think we were under a tent or something, Mike. We did the live podcast pregame.
Yep.
It was so hot and windy though. And then Michigan was on the shaded side on the sideline. So
that's one thing they did switch to. So Matt Rule got here and he's like, why the hell do we have our guys cooking in the sun? So they switched the sidelines and all that stuff too. Like Matt Rule runs Nebraska like a CEO, like a business. Like he was in the NFL. Obviously, didn't go that well, but he runs this like a professional organization. And from top to bottom, between the health staff, the nutrition, strength and conditioning, I mean, he's got so many good people in that building, and making just the simplest thing like, hey, let's switch sidelines. Why the hell are we getting cooked on by the sun? I feel like people say it's big brain stuff, but it's just common sense.
Right.
Well, I always thought they did that so that in the winter it was, it was colder and under the shade. I don't know. When it gets November, late November.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens Saturday. We're excited. I think this is like we said, defining moment, measuring stick game for both teams. Go follow Mike at No Block No Rock. It's at NBNR podcast. We appreciate you guys from coming on. Thanks for having us on your pod yesterday. You guys are good friends. Again, I want to not getting down there this weekend, but I want to get down there at some point. We'll
bring some Woodson whiskey.
Yeah, we'll bring Woodson whiskey. If you guys got your what's your brewing company?
Nebraska Brewing Company. It's the largest brewery in the state of Nebraska. If you guys do ever come down, we will take you through the brewery, give you a tour. hook you up on some free beers. I know Tanner brought us some Blue by 90 beer last time he came down. I think
we got a new recipe.
I have 2 in my fridge still from 2023 or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't finish them, but
that's okay.
That's all right. New recipe now. New recipe. There you go. Shout out to Feldman Chevrolet of Highland. Again, we appreciate you guys. Shout out Woodson Whiskey too. Go to woodsonwhiskey.com. You can buy the Team 144 commemorative bottle still, as well as some of the new products that we've got going there. For us, you can follow us at Blue by 90 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at Blue by 90 Podcast on YouTube, and blueby90.com. We appreciate you. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
Thanks, guys.